What's going on, guys? And today I'm going to be doing a book review on a recent audiobook that I listened to. And in these book reviews, I'm pretty much going to be doing just the important things that really stuck with me throughout the book and the things that I walked away with. I won't be taking any notes. I'm just going to be doing off of memory and off the top of the head. So the book for this book review is A Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. And this book is pretty much it's an outline, or it's like a guidebook to how to develop a warrior mindset and to perfect the way of the samurai. And in that, it also teaches you very fundamental principles and concepts that can be translated into martial arts and very useful in martial arts. So basically, this book goes through. It's like there's different sections, and they're all. It's like a stone of fire. It's like things like that. So like it's just like different elements that can be worked into the way of the samurai, and the very fundamental concepts that translate into how a samurai can be successful. So here's some that just stuck with me. It's going to be very quick. So when you're a samurai or when you're a fighter, the aim is to kill. You're not messing around. You're not trying to defend anything. The aim is to kill. So you have to remember that. When you're using a sword like a samurai, you're not trying to defend yourself. You're not trying to thwart off a threat. You're not trying to what's the word? Peacefully subdue the enemy. You're trying to kill them. That is the goal of a samurai, and you're there to represent your lord, and you're there to bring honor to your lord's name. So that's pretty much the fundamental concept that he outlines first. And there's a couple things that he says in the book that really stuck with me. And the main thing that he really says is, after he says something that he thinks is of great importance or great value, he always says, "You must examine this well," or he says, you must reflect on this well. And this language, it really how do you say it? It really gives gravity to what he's saying. And even the concept itself, you must examine this well. So many things, so many concepts that you look at, you don't really examine. And when you examine them truly, thoroughly, you can grasp and gain a lot of knowledge and wisdom from them. So another thing he says is, when you're learning from stuff or you're developing strategy, you can learn from principles from pretty much anything. So anything you look at, anything in your life, anything that's ever existed, you can look at it and you can extract a principle from it, and you can translate that principle into a concept that you can utilize in martial arts. So an example like this, he goes over this a lot, and this is the concept of water. Like I said, there was fire, there's water. So he goes over water, and the water, what it is it's pretty much the essence of how the water, it goes, it always travels the easiest way. It always flows. It can be sustained in a cup. It can be held. It can flow, right? It has many different qualities, and you can examine water, and you can study water, and you can take these principles from water and use them in martial arts or developing the way of the samurai. So there are some strategy principles that he goes over in the book, such as like when you're facing the sun, or you should always have the sun to your back when you're facing an opponent. And if not, if you can't have it to your back, you should have it to your right. And I find even these little tiny principles, or like when you're fighting inside or outside, he goes over all this stuff, the different things that you would want to do. And one thing that he really talked about in the book was, if you're in a house, if you lock yourself in a house like a thief after they've robbed something, you're essentially like a pheasant waiting for the falcon to attack it. So That's an interesting concept. You lock yourself in your house, you're essentially a pheasant. You're not an eagle, or you're not a falcon. So that's interesting. Some other things he goes over. What did he talk about? What did he talk about? There's lots of things he talks about. I mean, he he really there's some things he learned from his story, like some throughout his life, right? So he fought his first battle or his first duel when he was 12 years old, and he won it, and he killed a man when he was 12 years old, and that's when he became a samurai, and he developed his lifelong path to becoming the best samurai that he could be. Yeah. So I just thought of something. What was I thinking? Oh, it'll come up. Well, okay. So yeah. So pretty much to some things he learned throughout his life, right? So he used to show up to battles late. He used to show up to duels late just to frustrate his opponent, especially if he knew that they had the advantage on him. If they were more skilled than him, or they had some kind of level or unlevel playing ground on him, he would always show up late just to throw them off. And in Japan, this is extremely rude. It would be the equivalent of shitting on somebody's kitchen table or dinner table, right? And you would never do that. You would show up and you would respect. You would honor your opponent enough to just show up on time so that they would have the time of day to fight you, right? And the thing about this is that you can really take away from this guy didn't care. He was his number one mission was to kill, and he would do anything and everything just to accomplish that, because what it essentially meant was him surviving. Now, I just remembered what I was going to talk about. So when he first started his journey as a samurai, he went to a temple or a church, right? And he said he prayed two things. The first thing was he prayed for his sister, or his sister-in-law, or something like that, his sister, to get better, because she was very sick. She had some kind of cancer or something. So he prayed for her to get better. And the second thing he prayed for was he prayed for adversity in all of his challenges throughout his life as a samurai. So he wanted the hardest challenges possible. He really prayed for the hardest challenges possible when he went to the temple that day. And he would go on to fight 63 battles or duels and win all of them. Well, I think he won all of them. Not all of them were to the death, but most of them were. Most of them were to the death. And he won all, I think he might have won all of them. He might have won all of them. But he was a very skilled swordsman, right? And yeah, so some of the other things he goes over are, what did he talk about? That's pretty much the main things that I really grasp from it, actually. Yeah. So those are the main things. I mean, he talks about, he goes over 21 rules at the end of the book, and if I were to you and you just wanted to listen to about a 2-minute blurb, you could look this up on YouTube, the 21 rules from a book of five rings, and that would be enough that you would learn something, I would say. But one of the rules is, he would say, don't rely on the gods to save you, but have faith in them, right? So that would mean that you would rely on yourself to be self-sustaining, but have faith in God, right? And he goes over tons of rules, but that's the last thing I would talk about. I would check out the rules if you're somewhat interested in this book. So that's pretty much it for this book review, guys. The next book will probably be either Never Finished by David Goggins or The Parasitic Mind by God Saad. Or maybe Jordan Peterson's book, one of them. I've got to get some other books, but I'll also be reviewing my book when I'm done 75 Hard, or halfway done 75 Hard. So I'll be reviewing that book as well, Endure by Cameron Haynes. So look out for those book reviews. Follow on Spotify if you're someone interested. And thanks for listening, guys. Peace.